Welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host today, Bumpy. Welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host today, Bumpy. Something always decides to go incorrect. I don't know why. It's just the nature of the beast, I suppose. Anyway, welcome. As I was saying to the live stream, I'm your host, Bumpy McSquigums. We're diving into Duskers today as part of our Indie Spotlight. And it's an incredible and unique game, and one that I am very much looking forward to covering and sharing and showcasing. I have waited a while to do this one, and here we are, ready to get into it. So, as I go through, make sure everything is actually up and running, and it is not lying to me. As, my muted stream was unmuted for some unknown reason. Good times. Yeah, everything should be good. Alright, looks like everything is ready to go. So, without any further ado and further flim-flam, let's get into it, shall we? Alright. Greetings on this day. So, this game is actually played primarily, or pretty much exclusively, with the keyboard. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit play. I would recommend you take the operator training. Nah, I'm good. Alright, so we're just going to basically dive in, have some fun for about an hour, and see what happens, see what we're doing, see where we're at. And hopefully you guys get a little window into one of these really, really, really incredible, awesome games that we got to take a little bit of a part in growing and building and, getting out to the masses. This is just, I remember way back in the day, this is one of the first few games that Indie Brothers actually reached out to me personally to do coverage of. And I remember even talking with the developer and so on and so forth. So yeah, this one always has a special place in my heart because way back then, years and years ago, 7-8 years ago, I wasn't working for the Indie Brothers. So now to kind of come full circle and get some hands-on experience doing different things and getting a chance to actually work on or with games that I really enjoyed back in the day that I got to play or what have you. It's been kind of a cool little dream come true situation for me. So it's never unappreciated, and it's always kind of a little cool thing there. All right, so we'll run through what it says here, and I'll give you guys a very vague idea of what's actually happening in the game of Duskers, and we'll go from there. Loading BIOS, salvage vessel, cargo class, version 5.1, passive control systems passed, navigation's passed, engineering has passed, system diagnostics, however, failed. Critical warning, fuel is low, 6 days remaining for fuel, and there's only a single human that remains as the crew. Jill is essentially our Google Assistant, our Alexa, our Siri, what have you. So, yeah, she's our, what do they call them, digital assistants? I'm not 100% sure, but she's that, basically. She's a computer AI, and she helps us do stuff. All right, initiate emergency distress sequence. We'll say yes. Sending distress signal. All right. Vessels detected. There's 4 in our general proximity. No responses received from any of them. Recommended course of action, initiate manual contact with the vessels. Acquire necessary resources for travel. Seems fine, right? Alright, transfer classified as success. Externally modified log detected. Would you like to read it? Yeah, sure, why not? Summary of primary objectives. Gather intel/logs from derelict spacecraft. Gather resources necessary for survival. Search for survivors. If objectives cannot be completed, recommended action. Initiate a reset. End of file. Saving log to drive. Save complete. It's not all just, typing. But imagine, if you will, I don't know how technically the start of all this kicked off. I don't know if you were cryogenically frozen, you were just out on a thing. Why you're the last one alive, I don't know that part of it, but let's just assume you woke up and you find yourself alone on a ship that you somehow know how to pilot. And what you essentially have is you find there's no other people on the ship, which is a bit weird, right? You're like, oh, that's not good. But you do find there's a bunch of maintenance drones aboard the ship, or at least 3. And then you send out your distress calls and you're looking around and just nobody else. There's no other ships around, there's no other people around, you're just alone. You're alone in space. You're alone in your ship. And there's no response from anything that you reach out to, that you contact, that you find. So you end up repurposing those maintenance drones that you have to become salvage drones. So you find, beacons, or with your radar or whatever it is you're using, you find these various different spacecraft. Even though there are no responses from them, you go to them and you quote-unquote dock with them, and you send your maintenance drones in to see what's going on. You have no idea what's happening right now. You don't know where all the other people are. You don't know why these ships are out here floating in space. You don't know what's happened to anyone. So, rightfully so, you don't want to be like, all right, well, I'm going to dock my ship and then just leave. And then if something happens, I'm stuck on a derelict spacecraft. So you sit behind on your ship, essentially at a console like a computer, and you're just basically inputting commands, and you're following drone cameras and an overall schematic view where you can see how your drones all play out and where they're at and what's going on. So it's a very unique, interesting, and pretty cool game, honestly. There's nothing else like it. I've never seen anything quite like Duskers before it released or since. So yeah, it's, like I said, it's got a special place in my heart. And it has this sense, I find now, it's funny, when I play this game for any extended period of time, I get incredibly sleepy. I just start because it's one of those games where you sit at such a hyper focused, because stuff can go wrong really quick. So you're hyper focused, ready to deal with whatever's coming out, and you have that anticipation something bad's gonna happen the whole time. I think it's just that heightened awareness, I'm super I think it just drains my energy level, like you're leaving your phone playing a video, max volume, max brightness. It's just that's what I feel like, because I get super sleepy after playing this game, or while I'm playing the game. I just energy levels go down, because again, you have to be hyper vigilant, ready to handle whatever craziness is coming out, and you're constantly trying to strategically think the best and safest way to approach these obstacles. So that's where we're at right now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to board this first ship. You can see that we can actually jump around to these other ones, and we'll be able to travel to them. But for right now, we're boarding the first ship, because otherwise it would be a waste. And the way the fuel works is we have 2 jump fuel, allowing us to jump from where we're at in the system to another part of the galaxy, to one of these other places. But once we're in a system, we then have our propulsion fuel, and that will reset every time we jump with jump fuel. So while we're here, we have 6 propulsion fuel that we'll be able to go from spot to spot to spot with. So where we're at right now, we're going to board. It's not going to cost us anything. But if we want to jump to either the Q or the U there, and I can use my mouse because it does show up, yay. If we want to jump to Q or to U, it would take us 2 or 3 to actually make those jumps. So I'm not sure if maybe going to U and then Q and then P would be the best play. I think it might be, but we'll have to see. And while we're there, we're actually looking to find more jump fuel, more propulsion fuel, more drones and things that we can utilize, scrap and so on and so forth. So that's what we're going to get ourselves into right here, right now. All right, and to, try to keep ourselves sane, or maybe we've already slipped into insanity, we even decided, instead of just having 1, 2, and 3, we're going to name our bots. We got Brandon, Corey, and Kyle. All right, and then you'll look just beneath Brandon, Corey, and Kyle, and you'll notice that they have motion and gather. You have generator, and then you have tow and interface. And yeah, I think I need to roll with how they're set up right now for how I play. I tend to move motion onto its own bot, so to speak. And then I usually put gather on a different bot. Which I guess I could move it to Kyle on 3. It's fine. We're just going to go with what we got here. And as we go through, you'll see here, as we go through each of these individual ships, these derelict spacecraft and vessels, and there's even stations and fuel depots and all sorts of stuff we'll come across. We're looking for communications that aren't corrupted that could maybe help explain anything about what's going on right now, because we have no idea. So scanning is inconclusive, infestation types detected as 0. I believe the very first place that we're at is the only place that doesn't have an infestation type. And that is very important to know, because those will attack and destroy your drones. And those are essentially the main enemies. Time is also an enemy, you'll find, as you'll be going along, all of a sudden you'll hear some sort of shifting, like metal bending or something. You're like, uh-oh. And all of a sudden something bursts, a pipe bursts, and then radiation starts flooding that area, and you got to get your bot out of there, because the radiation starts, I guess, deteriorating the electronics or something. Just does damage to it, essentially. So you got to get them out of whatever room is irradiated, and then you have to also block off that room so it no longer can spread to other parts of the ship. So a lot of cool stuff. Right now, no communications are uncorrupted, so we just move on with our day. And again, this is all essentially typing different commands in to our console here that we see in the bottom right that allow our drones to do things. So I think the hotkeys are already there. Let's see. Yes. I've made a couple aliases that do some extra things. And normally there's begin, which will send your 1 and 2 bots out through the first airlock, which is A1, or I think it might even open A1. Anyway, it sends them into room 2, or whatever the first room you're connected to is. It'll send the generator bot onto the generator to start generating power. Like if we take generator right now and we turn it off, disconnect from power and unlock because the drone is too far away. So if we take a look right now, all of these rooms are grayed out, right? So we have what we've got over here on our ship, but this is grayed out, this is grayed out, this is grayed out, this is grayed out. This little lightning thing means it's generator, and it's going to power stuff if you use the generator command with the bot that is the generator bot, which happens to be number 2. And now all of those are green. That now means that anything that's green, like D4 is door 4, we can open and close D4 just by typing D4. So that's closed now. We can open it again by pressing it again. And then that allows us to go from room to room. The motion sensor will allow us to actually detect motion through a single door or wall. I guess it's door. Through a single door. So essentially R2, if we did the motion sensor here and we were in a place that actually had some infestations, we could do motion and it should show whether 3 and 4 have anything in it. However, sometimes it's inconclusive. So you'll either get a green little, I don't know how to explain it, like lines that just basically bounce around inside the room saying there's nothing there, it's all good. You'll get a red one saying there is something there, it's all bad, don't go into that room. Or you'll get a yellow one, which means inconclusive. Could be there's someone there, could be there's someone not. So you'll oftentimes have to move around and be like, all right, well, we know room 3, for instance, there's nothing in. And it's showing that it's green. So then you would open up door 2 and see if anything came from room 5 into room 3. If it did, it would then automatically trigger room 3 to start flashing red. And then you would close the door of D2 and then maybe go through room 4 and such. You'll see how it all plays. Anyway, so on top of this overall overview schematic bird's eye situation we've got here, if you hit 1, 2, or 3, you can actually jump into an overview, or I guess a bird's eye view. Sorry, there's a cable in my way. A bird's eye view of the actual drone. So a much closer, so essentially like a camera, like maybe a little drone floats above it, or maybe it's on top of the antenna or something. But you can kind of see a little bit around the drone, and on top of that, you can actually look around like this and see a bit more. This cable situation might be problematic. We'll see. Alright. So we have the generator back on. You can hear that's going. So this guy, he's got motion and gather. We're going to go ahead and hit gather all. Actually, I think it's just GG is what I made. So aliases are basically commands strung together, or you can even just use them for shortcuts for other commands. Instead of gather, for instance, I just have GG. It's quicker to type. Or gather all, I have GG. Anyway, I like to run around a lot with my drone in, like, you know, third-person mode. Alright, so we found there's another drone over here. Anytime you come across something new, you're not sure what you can do with it. It'll tell you recommended command info, and it tells you what you can do. It'll tell you that you can swap because the drone itself is destroyed, but you can get some of the upgrades and the power-ups off of it. So, let's go take a look here. And it's got stun on it. Don't really plan to use stun, but hey, it's there, right? We'll open up D2. Now, ordinarily, I would not move into a room that I don't know if it's safe or not. But, again, the very first ship that you come across has 0 infestation. So you can do this. And so GG is going to gather the fuel from the little fuel thing here, which it had 0 propulsion and 0 jump cells, so no fuel. And then the rest of the scrap. There will be, like, automated traders that you can come across eventually. And if you're wondering how you move around, it is tank controls. So essentially, just you're using the arrow keys to control your little drone. Alright, I'm going to open up D3, and then I'm going to hit spacebar to go back. So we've done all we can do here. So ordinarily, you would just type, I think, end. Like END, and it would send everybody back. I just made it EE again. And the reason I made it EE as opposed to end, to me, I feel that the end and the exit commands are kind of backwards, in my mind at least. Because if I want to end, it basically, for me, means that everyone is ready to leave the entire map. Like everybody's back on the ship, the airlock is closed, and they're ready to leave. So to me, that's what end would be. And then exit would be everybody get off this derelict spacecraft, get back on the ship. And those two are swapped, so I would constantly type exit and go, oh, no, I don't want to leave all my drones here. Thankfully, there's a prompt telling you not to do it. So I do end now, and then worst case, if I hit end again, you know, it would just be like, oh, everybody's already moved there. So now it's like, now I hit exit. So it's a little bit easier for me. This is one of the, my mental situation. This is how I want to do it. Anyway, when you get done, it gives you a mission summary of what you managed to accomplish and or not accomplish. So essentially, you have 6 propulsion fuel. You got no more. Jet fuel, no more. And you still have the 2. You did manage to pick up 4 scrap, which gives you a total of 6 out of the 50 that the ship can hold. And you've now survived for a single day. And that also shows you any diagnostics readouts, which I guess nothing happened on that front. And finally, inventory change readout. So we now have stun, well, we picked up on a Brandon. Alright, so here we are. I'm going to go to drone configuration real quick. I'm going to move Brandon down, and I'm going to move stun over. Just no reason. I need to have open spaces in case I come across other drones that have things that I need. So, just so you know. Alright, let's take a look here. I think I am going to go to Q. You'll notice there's an objectives thing popping up at the bottom left. I'm just going to open it up real quick. Gather intel logs from derelict spacecraft. Gather resources necessary for survival. Search for survivors. If objectives cannot be completed, recommended action is reset. So essentially what was told to us by Jill already. Alright, so we have Q selected. We're going to actually travel there. And that used 3 of our jump fuel. It's going to be 2 to get to either of these other 2 places. All right, we're going to go ahead and board this. There's nothing else to really do. So let's do it. All right, now this one has some communications for us. It tells us in the blurb up top, dormant drone found in room 2, which is cool. Infestation types are detected, and there's one type of them. That doesn't mean there's only one infestation. There could be 30. There's not. There's never 30, or at least I haven't run into 30 of them. But that could mean there's 2 or 3 on the ship, but it's all the same type. And there are various different types. The name of the vessel is TrueTac. It's a barge class B, and its directive was commercial shipments. The crew was 5, but the crew's all dead at this point. And then we found some communications. And then essentially we get some garbled communications that we get to piece together certain things. So, in train ready contract. Let's see here. Following the agreed signing of a new security contract with H5 Secure, all current security sector workers on U.S. and UK-based ships are required to reapply for their posts. New staff are to be deployed as a foundational force starting in February. All current policing. That's a word. All current policing duties outside of your rejected by H5 Secure and not by the national body. Really serves no purpose other than some flavor text and as far as our mission goes. So it kind of gives us an idea that we're going to find some communication that's not very useful. All right, anyway, we are ready to begin. Remember, there is time. There is real time that happens. Sometimes asteroids will come hurtling toward the ship, the derelict, and you only have so many minutes before there's a probability it might strike various different rooms. So, yeah, I said, you have to be hyper vigilant, constantly trying to figure out the best course of action, the best path to take, and what you can and or can't get away from, get away with. So one of the things that I've never run into, so hopefully this is a true statement and I'm not lying to you guys, but in all of the hours that I have played this game, I have never had it to where when you land at a ship and you come out and there's a door already open, there's never been something in that room. Everything's clear in the first room that you enter, and if there's an adjacent room that's already open, those are all clear. That doesn't mean it holds true for anything else. So now it's time for us to motion. And you will see there is something spoopy in room 5. Now we're going to switch over to Kyle, and I'm actually going to swap this in. I'm going to take the gather away from Brandon. So we know D9 is door 9. Room 4 is safe. We're going to go into room 4, and there's a turret in here. The turret happens to not be on right now, otherwise we would not be alive right now. Info. It does say we can use tow to get remote power. Remote power is an incredible thing, and I will definitely pull that back. We won't be able to utilize it until our next mission, but essentially it's going to allow us to actually use this add-on, this ship modification, to remotely power any of the... it doesn't matter. To remotely power any generator that we see. So like in room 6, there's another generator there. And... actually, this is going to work out perfectly. Sorry. There's another generator there. I'm going to open up D11. So door 11's open, so that's room 5 and 4 are now connected through that door. And you see how he moved from 5 into 4? Now he's in that room with the turret. So, it's good stuff. You'll notice room 6 has the yellow lines moving. That means that we have no idea what's in there or what isn't in there. And of course the green ones mean that's all good. And yeah, the remote power is good because you can actually just go, hey, remote power room 6, and then you turn on that generator. So essentially you have 2 generator bots at that point. or if something's a little bit risky, and or you know there's an enemy in a room that you can't actually get to with one of your drones, but it has a critical power thing that you need, you can actually utilize that still. Hey, we got 1 extra day of propulsion fuel. Nice. And more importantly, there is a computer over here that we can interface with. So we're going to interface with it. And it says ship scan. So we're going to do that. And what that does is essentially it scans for nearby rooms and see if there's any like hidden scrap, which there is. There's a little bit of scrap in this room. We also have defense. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn on defense. It's going to turn that gun in the top right corner there in room 4 orange, making it active to anything that moves within its range. It will shoot it. So you're going to see that red line disappear here in a second. There it is. So it is done. So always remember to turn your guns back off once you use them. That way you don't accidentally wander into the room and get yourself got. So I've done that a few times. Actually, I think I've done that once, and I've learned my lesson. So if you like to maybe stay on this overhead schematic view a bit more, you can give commands to specific groups of, or well, a group or specific drones. Like okay, my brain just went totally blank. It's not send 3. Move? Send 3 R4? That doesn't sound right. Oh no. I apologize. I just, for whatever reason, I can't navigate. That's the word. My brain just was like, nope, navigate 3 R4. I'm like, I forgot the basic command to move around. Oh no. Okay, so ideally you do want to utilize guns and things that can kill these guys. Most specifically, the turrets are really, really good because they don't cost you anything if you're able to do that. And if they are either organic, I guess if they're robotic, you can actually get scrap out of them. These seem to be robotic. Oh, sorry, see? Told you, draining my energy. So there we are. We've managed to do that. And what we're going to do now is actually navigate 3. And you can do shortcuts. Like NAV, you'll see navigate pops in at the bottom left. Or sorry, at the bottom right on the thing down there. So if you type NAV, you'll see that. If you just hit spacebar, it will auto complete that word. So oftentimes you don't have to type out the full command. Navigate 3R3. And then I'm going to open up D12, and I'm going to close D10. Now here's where that like hypervigilance and kind of, I don't know what the word is, always being prepared, and the thing that kind of drains me is, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff happening. And we're trying to do the best we can with that. So what that means is we kind of like, all right, something could come through the door. Let's see. And then you open the door and then you're waiting. And you're like, okay, if something comes through the door, you close D12 and you got to like move kind of rapidly at that point. Other times you're just kind of sitting there waiting, and then nothing seems to happen. So it's probably safe. And at this stage of the game, it should be. But later on, you get enemies that are very hesitant to move on their own. And as such, you end up having to wait longer periods of time. And then sometimes you run into some sweet victories there off that, which is not so bad. All right, we're going to go with A1. We're going to dock at A2. We're moving the ship from the airlock at the top over to the airlock on the side here. And there it is. We're going to open up airlock 2. And I'm just going to take a look at what you got on you. Okay. And we're going to tow. We're towing Twiki. We're towing Twiki back over into our ship now. So we got remote power and we got a secondary drone at this point, which is pretty sweet. Alright, I'm going to turn off tow. Now, what if we do D12? And then we navigate 1 to R6. So essentially what we're doing right now is moving down here. We're going to try generator. I just want to see what we generate off this. Okay. Alright, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to also close D10. I'm going to open up D11. Yeah. That's fine. Alright, sorry. Sorry. Alright, navigate to R6. Like, comma, generate? No, it's a semicolon. Generator. So, it should move into room 6 and then generate. Where you should be able to leave. We're going to open up D7 now. D7, we're going to close A2, the airlock there, because we're terrified. And we're going to hope that motion gives us something. Okay, it does. Alright, so D14 is safe to open. So we can go peep in here. And we see there's a couple GG situations here. Okay, we're going to get out of D14. We're going to open up D13, which is the joining thing between room 2 and room 8. And we're ready to close D13 again. See if anything happens. And there's something happened. So what does this mean for us? Essentially, it means that room 8 is now open and clear, so we can go D14, D6, which allows us to go into that room. There's a very real chance there's nothing in here, and indeed there isn't. Now we can open up D12, which will move the infestation from room 2 to room 5, which it did. And now we can open up D4, which will open room 2 to room 9, and we can see if there's anything in room 9. We've already come across one infestation and killed it. This is the second one and probably the last one, but you never know exactly how many infestations are on. You know how many types there are, but not how many of the specific type. So we're checking into that right now, and looks like room 9's probably clear. It is a smaller room that was a pretty sizable length of time. And indeed it was clear. Alright, so at this point we have a few options of what we could do. I'm going to navigate all R3. I'm going to dock at A1. I should not have navigated one of them away. We could just leave at this point. And we should just leave at this point. But I'm going to be stupid. We'll do it. We'll do it the right way. Motion. Alright, D11. I didn't mean to move number 1. I was like, I can move everyone, and then as soon as I did, I was like, I didn't want to move the guy that was doing motion. Essentially, what I wanted to do is get the generator going, move him into that room, close the door, open up D10, and then get 3 there to interface, and pew pew shoot, down he goes, get some more scrap, and then we out. Interface, defense, and defense again, and you see that the gun is off. It says defense is deactivated. It's not orange anymore, which means I can go open up D11, and there's more scrap here. GG. All right, we're gonna open up A1, and all the scrap has been acquired. Everything is good to go. We're gonna EE out and then exit once they are there. Now, if any of the doors are closed and one of your drones is blocked off, it will not be able to make it back to the ship, so you'll just have to figure that one out as you go. Alright, so we got 1 P fuel, which gives us 4 as opposed to the 3 we had before. No more J fuel, but we did get 9 more scrap, bringing us up to 15 total. And we got an upgrade lure and remote power, plus the drone. Twicky was added to the old fleet. So good times all around. We are going to go into ship configuration, and we are going to install remote power. And then we're going to go into modifications. Drones, and we're going to actually get Twicky fixed up. So it costs us 10 of our 15 scrap. But Twicky is now available for stuff. Going into drone configuration, we're moving Twicky over. Twicky down. Put the lure away, because again, don't necessarily need or want it. And I believe what I'm going to do is actually move tow and interface over. There we go. There. So Kyle's only going to be the gather bot. Brandon's only going to be the motion bot. And Twicky's going to be the interface and tow bot. And then, of course, Corey's always the generator. So you'll usually have one bot that's always a generator bot. There's only so much that you can recreate. Like all the mods that we use, generator, tow, motion, all that stuff. Some have limited uses, like motion has 50 uses total, and then you can recharge those uses. But on top of that, you also have a probability that they will fail and break, which sucks and is scary. So the point that I have started to notice is you can create gather, generator, and tow. So those you essentially might as well go and break them, because trying to fix them is about as expensive as just getting a new one. So you might as well go as long as you can until they break. So let's see. Do I have that? Let's see your generator. Well, right now it's 6. Okay, maybe it's a little bit less, and it's also possible that it maybe got modified slightly. Yeah, it looks like it might, like, tow is 8, right? To repair it if it was damaged. And tow over here is 10. Okay, maybe it's slightly better than to do it the other way. But also maybe not. Maybe it's better to let it break. Maybe it's because you get 1 or 2 extra uses out of it. Or maybe scrapping it and getting the 3 and then going through and just creating a new one might be a better play too, because then you get, I think, like 1 extra or something along those lines. I don't know. There's a way to come out ahead, essentially, on it. So, kind of gotta look around. All right, we're going to go to Q. Now, this place is the DOELR. DOELR. I don't know. I have no idea. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, we're going to board this one. Let's go. All right. Again, 1 infestation type detected. And no uncorrupted communications. All right. Let's begin. BB. All right. Anytime you hit a generator, the power comes on, and it will highlight any room that it has control to change, or any doors that it has control to change. So that's a specific way how you can actually improve or increase your map immediately, is just by turning on a generator. All right, what's the best place to do this from? It is room 2. All right, motion is up. Switching over to good old Cal. Looks like room 4 is not a fun room for us. Now, not every vessel has a turret. So sometimes you may just be cramming enemies. Hey, exiled. Sometimes you might just be cramming enemies into a corner and leaving them forever. Other times you may be trying to figure out how to get them into a place that has an airlock. And you throw them out into the vacuum of space. GG. It's an incredible game. This is there's nothing quite like Duskers. Alright. Well, time to get our butts out of this room. Since we know there's something in room 4, let's open up D3, see if there's anything on the other side of D3. We're gonna have to wait a minute or two here. Also, just in case I do something dumb, let's close D10. Alright. As it stands right now, there's a medium chance that there's nothing there. Oh, wow. Okay. It's a big room. This is actually the end of the ship. Okay, cool. GG. I think maybe the best way to do this is going to be navigate the 3R3. Oh, it's Alt up. It's Control up. All right. My left control button does not work 100%. Okay, D7. We're going to D7 again here in a minute, but... Navigate to R5 and generate. And we said good day, sir. So make sure everything's closed. Okay. Now, things to be concerned about when you do open an airlock. It could damage anything that's in there. So if there was a computer console or a turret or the fuel thing that you're looking for, it could damage any one of those things. So try to loot, pilfer, or whatever you need out of a room before you open an airlock if you're going to open an airlock. Secondly, anything that's loose on the ground, like scrap, your drones, bad guys, they get sucked out of the airlock immediately as well. So, again, loot everything, make sure the room is clear for what you want to get, if you can, and then you can lure an enemy into the place. Airlock, open, bye-bye, bad guy, and you're good to go. So me opening D3 now, the enemy is gone. He wasn't here. This is where we shoved him into. He's gone. Now, the other thing that can happen, which is much worse at times, is you open an airlock and it can damage a door, preventing it from being able to be reclosed or reopened. So that's not great. Hey, we got ourselves another dronular here. All right, what's this one got? Sensor, okay, and generator. All right, those are both important things to have. All right, let's open up D8. Navigate for R4. GG, navigate 3R1. Navigate 1 to R1. Tow. BB. No, it's EE. Alright, everybody is leaving. We got the drone in tow. And probably cram them in here a little bit better. Or we can actually close the airlock with the exit, and we out. Alright, so you see we collected another P fuel, giving us an extra one, which doesn't necessarily matter this time around, but That's okay. We'll take it. And we still have the 2J fuel. Got 6 scrap, bringing us back up to 11. We got the new drone of Luke, and we've got sensor and generator off of Luke there. Now, for Luke himself, go to drone configuration. I'm probably not going to fix him up right now because you can only bring the first 4 drones. The other 3 that are there are reserves. So what I am going to do is strip him of his 2 things and just leave him there. I'm not even going to bother repairing him or anything else. And in fact, as we go a little further along, we're going to get more drones. I'll try to always leave at least 1 slot available for the drones. And we'll scrap the ones as we come along. Drones can have much more health than what Luke has right now, or what Kyle or Corey have. So, like, even getting Luke and swapping him with one of these 2 wouldn't be too bad, just because it's a little safer, having a little bit more HP, a little bit more of that wiggle room. They want us to hit the modification, and they're probably just telling us that we can repair Luke and so on and so forth. But we don't care. We don't need to do that right now. All right, we're going to queue one more time, and let's get there. This will probably be our final boarding and our final ship, depending on how big it is. If it's tiny and there's like 4 rooms, then we can do more. Again, we can see there's scrap found in room 2, which just randomly we get an update from our scan for that. We see there's 1 infestation type, and like the hull integrity of good and the age of the vessel, less important right this minute, but as you go along, as you know, you're stranded in space, your ship is kind of failing, it will start to deteriorate and fall apart, along with a lot of the stuff that you're using. Like the camera will become glitchy and go offline on the drones themselves, or even the overhead schematic view. And it makes things a lot more difficult. It cuts into your time and all the stuff that you're doing. So at some point, you're going to have to drop the vessel that you have and find a suitable replacement. The unfortunate reality is oftentimes you're going to find older vessels, which means you'll only be able to have those for a little while before you're going to drop those and get new ones again. So it's kind of a never-ending cycle to an extent. But it all kind of works. The thing that you need to do when you are going to commandeer a vessel is make sure you've explored every room and you've cleared it of all infestation types. Then you're able to commandeer any vessel. That's an actual ship. If it's a fuel depot, it won't work. If it's a military outpost or something like that, it won't work either. All right, so that's where the hull integrity and the age of the vessel is important. All right, so we got the scan on room 2. We see that room 2 is actually connected to something on the other side of D6, but we don't know exactly what's going on there. So let's get our crew moving. I don't have Twicky in the my BB thing to start off with, so usually need to do some other stuff. Let's look around with Kyle real quick. Alright, cool. We got an interface there that we can do. In fact, I think I'm going to do that right now with Twicky. Let me take a look. I'm not in a room with a gun? No. Alright. So we can do ship scan, which we will do. And boom, we actually found some stuff there. We found a little bit of extra scrap laying around, and we found that there's a drone nearby. And now we're going to use defense. And in room 5, there is the defense turret right there. And there was an enemy in room 5. So room 5 is now clear. We're turning the defense turret back off. We're going to GG here with 3. And we're going to open up D5. You see the dead creature here. And again, it seemed to be robotic in nature. So we get a lot of extra scrap just out of that inherently, which is nice. Now here's... Alright, you know what? We're just going to motion from here, I guess. Oh, good. Alright. We're going to close D5. Ideally, the best place to motion would be room 5, but that's also where our turret is. So you kind of don't want to do that. So we're going to sit here and we're going to wait to see if anything comes from room 4. Which happens to be the inconclusive scan, so we don't know what's in room 4. It's like we don't know what's in room 6, except it's open and we already went in there. So seems like room 4 is probably clear. Open up D10, close D8. And I guess while we're waiting for that, we'll open up D4. And we will go and take a peek. What do you got on you, buddy? He's got tow and speed boost, which is nice. Oops. Okay. D8, D4. And now look how fast our drone goes. It's kind of nice. Another generator, and we know that this room is now clear. Okay, another thing we can do now is D10, D8, D2. Now we're opening up from room 5 to room 2, but keep in mind, it's possible there's 2 infestations in there. Probably not. If there is one that comes through, that's probably all there is, but we still have to be careful because that room is open to another room. So we'll have to take the time. There it is. Something came through. Probably the only thing that's there, but you don't know for sure. Defense, it is taken care of. We're going to re-defend. Turning it off. It is off. We're going up. We're going to go get the fat treasure loots in here. GG. Now, if you happen to run into one of those things, it's terrifying because they are quite quick if they see and notice you. They will lunge at you, and that's kind of where a lot of people will consider this game a horror game because, everything's fine. There's a lot of tension. There's definitely a lot of tension. And you're like, all right, can I go here? Can I do this? All right, is there anything in that room? All right, the motion sensors say it's okay. Oh no, I didn't realize that room led to a different room that was open. Oh no, and then you walk in and something jumps on you. And it's quick, and then you start panicking and trying to run away. Or, I said, a meteorite an asteroid hits or is going to hit, or a pipe bursts and radiation starts flooding. There's stuff that comes a bit later on in the game, slime, starts creeping around, and it's not a moving organic, it's not a moving enemy like a regular infestation would be. So it doesn't really show up the exact same way. And it's not detected when you're doing scans. So you could have a room, say we left room 6 open. Slime could be in the corner of that room, maybe we just didn't notice it or whatever. And all of a sudden you start taking damage in room 3, you're like, what's going on? And slime had slowly spread from room 6 all the way to room 3, and you would never notice that. So, a lot of spoopy times. Alright. We're making the run. Pretty good indication there's nothing going on after that much time. Chances are it would wander from one spot to the next, and it didn't seem to do that. So we seem to be pretty secure in our position. We did take down 2 enemies. Generally speaking, in the early game, that's about the max you're going to find per spaceship, space station, derelict, whatever you want to call it. So... Alright, D5, we'll open that up, and we're going to say EE. And that'll send our crew back. So we were able to pretty much do everything we needed to do there, which was pretty nice. And now if we wanted to, we could do commandeer right now. And then you could see what are the advantages and disadvantages to switching from the Justice Rider to the urgent procession. You could carry more scrap as a total max, which is nice. The P fuel change there is no change. It's exactly the same, or charge. There's no change in that. However, the ship upgrades, there's none available. There's no ship upgrade slots available too. So you can't actually upgrade your ship using stuff like remote power and so on and so forth. Not horror like Resident Evil, more like life is on a timer and all mistakes are very costly. Yes. Sort of existential anxiety style horror. And yeah, they one of the, it was like Rock Paper Shotgun or one of the big journalists out there, one of the big media outlets for gaming, I believe described Duskers as a better Alien game than any of the Alien franchise, or sorry, any of the Alien games that are actually part of the franchise. So, you know, the xenomorph, and you know, Ridley and all that. So this is more akin to Alien than any of the actual licensed Alien games. We're not going to commandeer this one. It's just showing you guys how the commandeering worked. We're going to go ahead and we're going to exit out of this. And yeah, so one more J fuel, which is nice to get a little bit more jump fuel. And one more P fuel. We have 2. Some of those will carry over. You can actually stack up if you don't use all of your P fuel for any of the bonuses that you get. So you start with 6. If you don't use all 6, I don't think it stacks, but if you don't use all 6 but you find like 4 more, those 4 will stay. So those 4 go into reserves as opposed to the 6 are just like temp uses every time. That makes sense. Alright, so we got the tow upgrade and the speed boost upgrade on Kyle, which we got from the drone that we found destroyed in there. And then from here, it's time for us to go to another spot in the galaxy. We've cleared out that entire system, so now we have W, U, and G, or Skythorpe, Yon, we're at Yon, Farsight, or Hotspur. And then if we go from there just to hit 3, we can actually see what's in the system and decide, is this a wise course of action to go here? This has a trading post, which will allow us to use some of our extra scrap. Tied a very close second. I know Alien Isolation is the name of the game, but I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, was that actually an Alien game, or was that just named Alien Isolation? Because I know there is supposed to be one that's pretty good. Maybe that is the one that's pretty good. There was another game that I played that didn't actually have any alien in it, but I don't think that's what it was called. I think it was something totally different. It is okay. So that's the one with the. I think I know the one that you're talking about. I think I know exactly which one that is. There's a game that I played that was very Alien-esque, but it didn't actually have the alien in it. So, but I don't think that's what it was called. It's something similar to that, but it's not that one. All right, let's see what this one has. All right, this has got a couple medical outposts. It says it requires a transporter. So I guess there's something that's stopping us from being able to get there, and we need to be able to transport on. Some of them will have like quarantine things that you can't get past. And then let's go see what's over here. This is the one that we'd have to have the quarantine bypass to get through. Survival board, yeah. I remember seeing that. I remember even seeing somebody I know was playing that on stream. All right, oops. Nope. So I think the smartest one to go to would maybe be here. So I'm gonna jump to this spot. Okay, it says every time you jump between systems, your propulsion fuel recharges. This does not apply to your reserve tank. Displayed propulsion min-max plus reserve. So you'll see at the bottom we have propulsion 6 out of 6 now that we've done the jump, but our reserve is +2. So technically we have 8 fuel, but we're probably not going to end up using that. The broken AI that was a difference between a 1 and a 0 or something like that, or a semicolon or a dash or something ridiculous. It was a small typo that broke it. Yeah, I remember that. I think it was Colonial Marines. All right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much Duskers in a nutshell. Again, it's one of the very first games. Not, I think like in the first group of games. I don't think it was like number one or two. I think it was maybe the top five first games that Indie Brothers worked with, and we still work with them to this day. I've done streams on the Steam store page for them, showcasing their game whenever a sale is available, and it's helped quite a bit. A fair few times we've had quite a few folks coming through. When they did the announcement that the lead developer was back working on the game again after a many-year hiatus, we did some stuff there, and yeah, it's a really enjoyable thing to finally be a part of, and I definitely appreciate being able to at least have a few of my fingerprints on this game as part of the Indie Brothers and what we do. Really, really fantastic game. Next week, I'm not sure exactly what we have up. I usually kind of sift through and decide. I'm debating right now, and I'm still needing to discuss it. We've had some I won't say scheduling conflicts, but wherever people had some dentistry done and so on and so forth. So kind of haven't got to discuss it yet, but I'm wanting to talk to the other folks and see, would it be okay to start perhaps doing a couple of weeks of just random indie games that we happen to like or know about, just to showcase and spotlight them here. Then do 1 week, so like 2 weeks of that, 1 week of Indie Brothers specific games, and then the final week maybe we do some submissions and people can be like, oh hey, yeah, I'd love you to showcase our indie game, here it is, and we then get to dive in and kind of experience that brand new and showcase it here as well. So that way, like throughout a month long, in a 4 week period, we would have Indie Brothers Spotlight, specifically, then two just indie game spotlights, and then one that was submitted by people on Twitter or whatever. So something that I kind of talked with somebody last week. They were suggesting this, and it's something I'm kind of thinking about in general for a while. So because at some point we're gonna run out of games that we've helped, or because it's not like, oh, here comes a new thing that we helped for one day and now it's in the back catalog or something like that. That's not going to work that way. Because oftentimes it's like, hey, here comes a thing, and we spend weeks and weeks helping them out and so on and so forth. So eventually we'll run through all of the list of games that we've covered or helped or had a hand in at some point. So yeah, it's going to be either at that point we'll have to stop our indie spotlight, or it'll have to evolve. So this is one way it could evolve, keep growing, and take a little less of the direct approach, and get there and survive. Anyway, later today we're going to be talking about lessons learned from the game dev trenches. That'll be kicking off at 3 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you guys are here for that. It'll be right here on the YouTube channel and on the Twitch channel. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and that's it for me for now. I've been your host, Bumpy McSquigums. Take care, and I'll